Ever cracked open a book that claims to have the answers to life's biggest mysteries?
Hmm. Yeah, I think we've all been there.
Well, today we're diving into one that says those answers came straight from the spirit world, no less.
Ooh, sounds intriguing.
It's The Spirit's Book by Allan Kardec, considered the foundation of Spiritism.
And while our deep dive is going to be focused on excerpts from its Wikipedia page, remember, this book's reach, it goes way beyond a single entry. It sparked a whole spiritual movement, one that's still going strong even today.
A movement fueled by, get this, conversations with spirits.
Now, that's a conversation I'd love to listen in on.
Right. So tell me, what kind of burning questions did Kardec supposedly ask these spirits?
Well, Kardec, he didn't hold back, that's for sure. He dove straight into the heavy stuff. We're talking the nature of God, what happens after we die, reincarnation, even life on other planets.
Okay, hold on. Other planets.
You heard right.
Now, that's a detail you don't see every day. It really makes you want to know more, doesn't it? What else makes this book stand out? I mean, there are a lot of books out there about spirits and the afterlife.
You're right, there are. But what makes the Spirits book so fascinating is how it blends philosophical thought with what Kardec believed were direct revelations from the spirit world. It's not just about accepting the Spirit's words as gospel truth. It's about weaving them into a larger conversation
A conversation with who?
with some of history's greatest thinkers. Think Augustine of Hippo, Thomas Aquinas, the big leagues of philosophy. It's like he's creating this incredible dialogue across centuries and realms of existence.
Wow, talk about a dynamic discussion. So what are some of the key takeaways from this conversation between Kardec and the spirits? What were the big revelations?
Well, one of the central themes is the idea of one God, the creator of the universe. Pretty standard stuff so far,
So
right?
far, so good.
But then it goes deeper, exploring the survival of the soul after death, the concept of reincarnation, the idea that our souls evolve over many lifetimes toward a state of perfection.
So it's not just about what happens after we die, but about a continuous journey our souls take through multiple lives.
Exactly.
And that's an idea that resonates with a lot of different spiritual traditions, isn't it? It's not unique to Spiritism.
Absolutely. But what makes the Spirit's book's perspective unique is this idea that each life is like a step on a ladder. Each lifetime moves us a little closer to a higher state of being.
And all those challenges and injustices we face in this life, maybe they're not just random. Maybe they're a result of actions taken in past lives.
Exactly. That's where the concept of karma comes in. It's all about cause and effect playing out across multiple lifetimes.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. So we've got spirits, we've got reincarnation, we've got karma. It's a lot to process.
It certainly is.
But I have to ask, does the book offer any insights into how we can connect with this spirit world ourselves? Do we have to just take Kardec's word for it, or is there a way to experience this firsthand?
That's a great question. And Kardec does delve into that. He talks about the role of mediums, individuals who he believed had the ability to communicate with spirits.
So they act as a kind of bridge between the physical and spiritual realms.
Exactly. But it's not just about mediums. Kardec also wrote about spirit guides, kind of like guardian angels, who offer us protection and guidance throughout our lives.
It's like having a personal cheering section from the other side.
Exactly.
But I have to ask, with all these profound ideas, how was this book received when it first came out? Did people embrace it, or was it met with skepticism?
The Spirit's book wasn't just a book, it was a catalyst. It ignited a whole spiritual movement, Spiritism, that gained a massive following.
And where did this movement really take root?
It really flourished in Brazil. In fact, it's still incredibly influential there today.
Wow, that's amazing. So by diving into these excerpts, we're not just exploring some dusty old book. We're getting a glimpse into a living, breathing belief system.
Precisely. And it all stems from this one text that blends spiritualism, philosophy, and what Kardec believed was direct communication with the spirit world.
Now, speaking of the spirit world, the book talks about the human soul being made up of three parts: the physical body, the spirit, and the perispirit. What exactly is this perispirit? What does it do?
Good question. The perispirit is a core concept in Spiritism. It's kind of like a semi-material envelope.
A what?
A semi-material envelope, if you will, that surrounds and interpenetrates the physical body.
Okay, so it's like this invisible layer connecting our physical selves with our spiritual selves.
You got it. Think of it like a blueprint of our soul that carries the imprints of our past experiences and influences our current life.
So it's like we're carrying around a cosmic resume of sorts with all the highlights and lowlights of our past lives.
Exactly, and that's just the beginning.
Okay, now I'm really hooked. We've got to dive deeper into this whole paraspirit thing, but we'll save that for later. Right now, I want to talk about good spirits and bad spirits. The Spirits book seems to take a different approach than the traditional angel versus demon narrative.
You're right, it does. Instead of this black and white, good versus evil thing,
Mm-hmm.
the Spirits book presents a spectrum of spiritual evolution.
A spectrum.
Yeah. At one end, we've got the pure spirits. These are the spirits who have achieved a high level of moral and intellectual development. Then you have the good spirits who are, on the right path, trying to do the right thing. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have the imperfect spirits.
The ones who haven't quite figured it out yet.
Yeah. They're still grappling with their flaws and their negative tendencies.
So even the bad spirits, so to speak, have room to grow and evolve.
Exactly. And that's a really crucial point. Kardec believed that every spirit, regardless of its current state, has the potential to evolve. He saw the universe as inherently good and believed in the possibility of redemption through spiritual growth.
That's a hopeful perspective, for sure.
It is.
But it does raise some interesting questions. If everyone, even less evolved spirits, has the potential for good, does that mean we might encounter some, shall we say, negative influences along the way?
That's a question Kardec addresses head-on. He acknowledged that some spirits, particularly those stuck in a less evolved state, might try to influence us towards negativity. But he also stressed that we're not powerless in this situation. We have free will.
So it's like a cosmic tug-of-war with good and bad influences vying for our attention.
In a way, yes.
But wait, if that's the case, are we just left to fend for ourselves in this spiritual battleground? Or do we have some help?
Not at all. We're not alone in this. And that's where free will comes in.
Ah, free will.
It's huge GE in the Spirits book. It's presented as this fundamental aspect of our existence. Like it's the key to our whole spiritual evolution.
So we're not just puppets on a string. We get to make our own choices.
Precisely. But here's the catch: those choices. They have consequences. And that, my friend, is where karma comes into play.
Right, karma, that whole what goes around comes around thing.
Sort of.
Yeah.
But it's not about punishment. The Spirits book frames it more as a learning process, a way for us to grow.
Okay, so less about cosmic retribution and more about understanding how our choices shape our journey.
Exactly. And not just in this life, but across multiple lifetimes. It's like cause and effect, but playing out on a much grander scale.
I see. So it's all interconnected. These choices we make, the lives we live, everything's part of this bigger tapestry, this grand cosmic design.
That's a great way to put it. And here's where it gets really interesting. This interconnectedness, it goes beyond our individual lives.
Oh, how so?
Kardec even explores the concept of life on other planets.
Wait, hold on. We're going back to the aliens again. I thought we were talking about karma and free will.
It's all connected. Kardec suggests that Earth might not be the only stage for this grand play of spiritual evolution.
So we're talking about other planets with like civilizations and stuff.
Exactly. And he believed that these other worlds are inhabited by spirits too. Just like us, they're at various stages of development.
So some might be more advanced, some less so.
Precisely. But the point is, they're all part of this vast cosmic tapestry, each contributing to this universal journey of evolution.
Wow. Okay, now my mind is officially blown. It's humbling to think that we might not be alone in this. That somewhere out there could be other beings grappling with these same big questions.
It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? And there's another layer to this whole extraterrestrial thing.
There's more.
According to Kardec, these spirits on other planets, they experience reincarnation too.
You mean?
They might even incarnate here on Earth as part of their soul's journey.
Whoa. Okay, now I'm really going to start wondering about my neighbors.
Right. And who knows, maybe we've had lives on other planets.
Okay, now that's just too much to think about. Let's bring it back down to Earth for a minute. We've covered a lot of ground here. Spirits, reincarnation, karma, life on other planets. But what about God? Where does God fit into all of this, according to the Spirits book?
That's a great question, and it's something Kardec addresses right from the start. The Spirits book is grounded in the belief in one God.
Monotheism.
Exactly. But Kardec's interpretation of God, it goes a bit beyond traditional religious frameworks.
How so?
Well, for Kardec, God is the ultimate source of creation, the intelligent primary cause behind everything in the universe.
Okay, that makes sense. But then what makes his view different?
It's more about the nature of God's involvement in our lives. Kardec doesn't depict God as this deity who intervenes in our daily lives or hands down punishments or anything like that. Instead, God represents this set of immutable laws that govern the universe.
Laws.
Moral laws, really. Laws that are there to guide us, not to restrict us, but to point us toward our highest good, our ultimate purpose.
Okay, so it's less about a personal God and more about a universal force, a principle that drives creation.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And those moral laws Kardec talks about, they're like guiding principles. They're pointing us towards spiritual progress
Mm.
and ultimately reunion with the divine.
So it's like we've been given this incredible adventure, this chance to explore and learn and grow. And throughout it all, these moral laws, they were like our compass, helping us find our way back home.
Exactly. And remember those spirit guides, the guardian angels we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
They're part of this too. They're there to provide support, to offer guidance, to maybe give us a little nudge in the right direction when we need it most.
It's comforting to know we might have some help out there,
Yeah.
especially when we're facing tough choices or difficult circumstances. Now, you mentioned before that the Spirits book has had a profound impact, particularly in Brazil. Why do you think that is? What is it about this book that has resonated so deeply with people, not just back then, but even today?
It really is quite remarkable when you think about it. The Spirits book tackles those huge existential questions head on, the ones we've all pondered, what happens after we die? What's the point of it all? Are we really alone in this vast universe? And it does it in a way that's both intellectually stimulating and strangely comforting at the same time.
Comforting. How so? I mean, death, the afterlife, those aren't exactly lighthearted topics.
True. But Kardec presents these often scary concepts in a way that feels accessible, empowering even. Like we have some say in the matter, some control over our own destiny.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. He doesn't shy away from the big, heavy stuff, but he doesn't leave you feeling hopeless or lost either.
Exactly. And it's not just the content itself, it's how he presents it. He doesn't just throw out a bunch of spiritual pronouncements and say, take my word for it.
Yeah.
He actually incorporates reason and scientific inquiry into his exploration of these concepts. He wants you to think for yourself.
So he's appealing to both our heads and our hearts, not just one or the other.
Absolutely. He even includes real-life examples of spirit communication in the book to try to ground these abstract concepts in something a little more tangible, relatable.
It's a clever approach, I'll give him that. No wonder this book struck such a chord with people. And it's not just a historical curiosity either. We were talking before about how Spiritism is still a thriving movement, especially in Brazil.
Right, and it all goes back to the Spirits book. But it's important to remember that even within Spiritism, there isn't one monolithic interpretation of these ideas.
Oh, really? So it's not like everyone who considers themselves a Spiritist follows every single teaching to the letter.
Exactly. Like any spiritual tradition that's endured for over a century and a half, there are different schools of thought within Spiritism, different interpretations of Kardec's teachings.
That makes sense. There's always room for individual understanding, for nuance.
Absolutely. Spiritism is a living, breathing tradition. It continues to evolve.
One thing that really struck me about the Spirits book is this emphasis on spiritual progress, this idea that we're all on this journey towards a state of perfection. But what does that even mean, perfection? Is it like reaching the finish line, achieving some kind of cosmic enlightenment, and that's it?
It's a question that sparked a lot of debate and discussion within Spiritism. Kardec himself described it as a state of ultimate knowledge and wisdom, a state where the spirit rises above its earthly limitations and aligns fully with God's will.
Sounds pretty lofty.
It is. But it's not meant to be a static endpoint. It's more about this ongoing process, this continual striving for growth and refinement.
So less about checking things off a list, more about the journey itself.
Precisely. And it's a journey we don't undertake alone either. Remember those moral laws we talked about earlier? The ones that guide us towards our higher selves?
Yeah.
Well, the Spirits book emphasizes that. Compassion, kindness, working towards the collective good. These are all crucial elements of our spiritual development.
It's not just about our own individual progress. It's about recognizing how interconnected we all are. Our actions have ripple effects.
Exactly. And that's what I think makes the Spirits book so powerful. It sparks that curiosity, it encourages us to think critically about ourselves and the universe, and it offers this message of hope. The idea that death isn't the end, that we have the power to shape our destinies. There's more to life than meets the eye.
And sometimes all it takes is that spark, that willingness to explore the unknown. That's how we embark on our own fascinating deep dives into the mysteries of life, right?
Well said. There's always more to learn, more to experience, both in this life and beyond.
And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the Spirits book. We've covered some truly mind-bending concepts today, challenged some conventional thinking, and hopefully, sparked a little curiosity along the way. But remember, the journey doesn't end here. Never stop questioning, never stop seeking, and never rule out the possibility that there's more to discover about ourselves and the universe than we could ever possibly imagine. Until next time, keep exploring, keep diving deep, and keep asking those big questions. Those are the ones that make life so endlessly fascinating.